Eight-Legged Freaks from 2002.
When toxic waste infects hundreds of exotic spiders, a small American town becomes overrun with giant arachnids.
I love this film. Watched it so many times when it came out in my early teens. Supposedly, it was meant to have a sequel. The director and original producer even came out and announced a sequel back in the day. And it just kind of never materialised. I guarantee if you say it to someone around our age, they'll have forgotten it exists, but they'll smile the moment you bring it up because they'll remember it. Everyone rates this film. Anyone who's not a snobby film critic or, probably a girl, loves this movie. That's why it surprised me so much that the film never got a sequel. Pretty much is now forgotten. You never hear about it, never see it on TV. And the director really went on to do nothing. He made 2 of the horrible Return of the Living Dead sequels. We did Return of the Living Dead on this show before. 2 of the sequels are watchable, definitely decent. 4 and 5, I believe it was, that this director went on to make, are just truly abysmal, straight to DVD trash, just gutter trash. And it surprises me because this isn't some Citizen Kane high floundering art film, but for what it is and what it's meant to be, horror comedy, B-movie homage, it is perfect. And it's a pretty assured hand, Whenever it's meant to be funny, it's funny, to me anyway. And whenever it is meant to be entertaining or whenever it's meant to be an action scene, whatever emotion is supposed to be getting tugged at any moment in any scene, it's 100% for me. I feel like the director and the screenwriter did a fantastic job. And it shocks me that he never went on to do anything else.
The director actually had this idea and he made it into a short film where essentially the same thing actually happens. Toxic waste gets spilled and it follows a woman all in arty black and white, and then he realised, that was good for the short film, but I want to do it more grander and with a bigger budget. So there we are with Eight-Legged Freaks. What I really love about this film is it brings you back to, that era of the noughties where you would just get those really ridiculous horror comedies, and really Eight-Legged Freaks was the best of the bunch. I was reading reviews about it because I wanted to see what the critics were saying. On IMDb it's a 0.5, terrible rating, but it had mixed reviews. Empire was even saying, I give this 4 stars, and you're going to see one Spider film this year because the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was out, but make sure you don't miss this one because this really is a romp. So people have mixed reactions, but for me, it's so nostalgic to watch it back.
It was better than I remember it being. A lot of the humour went over my head as a kid. Once the spiders properly start overrunning the town later on in the film, it becomes like a full-blown comedy. They're just throwing a gag at you every 2 seconds. There's so many wonderful little moments, for no apparent reason, Harvey Lee Oswald's rifle exchanging hands throughout the whole film.
30-06, Mossberg pump, and the Lee Harvey Oswald rifle. Why do we have that? I do not know.
And then it ends up in the hands of the conspiracy theorist black dude. Speaking of which, I actually like that character because usually when you have these sort of films and you got the one significant black role, it's that Will Smith disease
Independence Day.
Yeah, you're expecting them to say, oh, hell no, a lot, and damn, you white people are crazy. And
what is that smell?
Yeah, just generic horseshit.
Men in Black. Yeah, I get you.
He just happens to be black. He is Alex Jones sort of conspiracy guy hanging out in his caravan.
You all know about those cows in New England and the probe, the anal probe. Yeah, let's talk about the probe. Let's talk about the anal probe.
Did you recognise him, by the way, from anything else?
From the first scene, I did recognise him, when he's like, this is a story, and then it fades, but I haven't read the cast, by the way.
He's Cool Runnings. He's one of the bobsledders.
That would make sense. Yeah,
how class is that?
With this film, Declan, the plot is pretty much Romsil. It does what it says on the tin. It's Eight-Legged Freaks. It's spiders. But I got to talk about how good the casting is. You got David Arquette, who instantly I recognise. Fucking Scary Movie, innit? It's the geezer from Scary Movie.
No, from Scream.
From Scream, sorry. I keep getting mixed up with Dewey from the sheriff, and I was thinking about it. The sheriffs that were running around, he would be perfect in it. Dewey running around blah blah blah.
He's an underrated actor, and
he is.
I wouldn't even say actor necessarily, but he's so charismatic. I'm actually a big fan of him. I know he went a bit. I think he went a bit off the rail on drugs and stuff.
Yeah. Talking about the casting, when the little kid goes to see the spider expert, I was like, who the fuck is that? Why is that geezer so tall? Where have I seen this geezer? And I realised it's fucking Manhunter. The geezer from Manhunter, the villain from Manhunter.
Oh.
Yeah, the really tall guy. Like, that's him.
The Red Dragon guy.
Yeah, Tom Noonan.
Shit, is that
Yeah,
him?
it's him, like, the really tall guy. Like,
Well, I'll give you a real obscure one. Did you recognise the lead actress who was playing the sheriff?
the fit one.
Yes. She is gorgeous.
I
always
recognise
fancied
her,
as a kid.
I recognised her because she was fit, but I didn't know where she was from. I recognised her because of how stunning she is. It's like a men thing, but I couldn't put on where I'd seen her.
Yeah, your brain was just like, I know that shape of that face and boobs. Well, first of all, she was in Anaconda, another great monster movie. But where I suddenly realised I knew her from was Red Alert 2. She played Tanya in the cutscenes.
Oh, you're right, yeah. In
How awesome is that?
Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I recognise her now, but she's stunning. And she's not a bad actress either. She's quite a good actress, I think.
I don't know if it was just the perfect film where everyone feels a bit elevated because the writing's good and everyone was up for it and the film just came together. But I agree. I was always like, why is she not in more stuff or more prominent stuff? Like, she was a charismatic lead. You know what I mean? It was just another piece that made the film better than it should have been. Maybe it was one of those things. Like, I do feel like filmmaking's such a collaborative thing. Even if you're the best directors in the world, they make some shit films. And sometimes you'll just hear afterward, you know, this didn't work, this went wrong, this became rushed because they were late on this, the money ran out, this guy was supposed to be good at special effects, but it turned out he couldn't quite deliver. Do you know what? There's so many things that can make a film not work. The inverse of that is that, you know, maybe sometimes a film becomes way, way better than all its parts. You know, the planets align just right, everyone's in the right mood, everyone's for it, everyone just happens to be cast right, the crew's all on board, and those 1 or 2 moments of magic you get on every film set when you're making a film, maybe you get 20 accidental moments of magic and it just becomes a better film than it should have been.
Yeah, and I think back at the time in 2002 when Eight-Legged Freaks was released, the world was in a bit of a downer. You just come out from like the big boom of 2000, Y2K and all of that, and the preceding years, everything was such a big build up to that. Do you remember everyone was running about like, oh, the computers are going to reset and all this shit, and then everything just went back to normal and everyone was like, oh, I feel a bit depressed now. So it really come out at the right time for everyone to like jump upon it, and I think that propelled it to cult status.
It's a really tight script as well. Within 15-20 minutes, you're just into the film and then it doesn't let go. It's just at a relentless pace. Film opens with the nerdy little son of the main sheriff character. He obviously loves spiders, so he goes to the local spider farm that Kevin Noonan runs. You know, he's taking the kid round, talking out through all the spiders, but it gives us an information dump as the audience, basically to learn all the unique characteristics of the different spiders you're going to see blown up to jumbo size later on in the film. And let's talk about the spiders, because you got the jumping spiders.
You got the spider that basically cocoons people and injects acid into them and basically drinks their insides. The spider that I was most keen in, and we'll talk about your one in a minute, is the ones that like hide underground. Yeah,
I was about
fucking
to say
madman, man.
The trapdoor one.
Yeah.
I love is brilliant later on in the film once they're using manholes and coming up and grabbing people. There's something about those ones where it freaked me out as a kid. The way they just seem to come out of nowhere and pull you under. The way a spider would start killing you that size. It's scarier than a tiger. There's something about it where it's just freaky. They just seem like they crush you and they'd have no sense of, let me go for the neck and kill him. They just pin you down and start biting into whatever body part they find first.
But I was thinking about that. If the giant spiders had overrun the town, could they get like another giant creature which is less threat, like make it drink the toxic wake or something that eats spiders that will just battle them all and kill them all?
So you're basically describing the thing from The Simpsons, which was inspired by a real event in Australia where they brought in one animal to kill a unwanted pest that was plaguing the area, and then the animal they brought in became a pest, and then they had to bring in another animal to take out that, and that became a pest, and it just went on and on and on. On a toxic waste level.
I basically did get it from The Simpsons because like there's this snake and they're like, just get a mongoose, and then the mongoose start taking over. So yeah, I did.
And then they bring the bears.
Yeah,
and then the bears just
yeah.
die during the
I
winter.
did get it from there, but I was thinking like just one giant. What actually kills spiders? Or
I think
eats
you
spiders?
just pitched the sequel to Eight-Legged Freaks. We've already seen a couple of mentions and scenes of toxic waste getting dumped in the local area. It's getting into the crickets. Paul Newman is catching the crickets, feeding them to his spiders, and voila, you have giant spiders. After the little kid leaves, all his spiders escape. You assume he gets eaten or killed. And we see nice little build-up scenes as, you know, the town's going through their business. We're getting introduced to the different characters. David Arquette playing Chris has returned. His dad was the owner of all the mines in the area. The town is a mining town, but we know it's now struggling. The mines are shut down because there's supposedly nothing in it. They have a corrupt mayor. It sets up his character as, you know, this nefarious person who is just out for his money and is constantly screwing over the town. But it's also smart because, you know, films like this, ever since Dawn of the Dead, you always want a big shopping mall.
Oh, 100%.
But
Yeah.
it makes no sense why there'd be a giant shopping mall in this little town. So it's kind of a genius in writing thing to make that make sense.
How do we know that this isn't just another one of your get-rich schemes, like, you know, building this ridiculous mall out here?
Well, there's
And we also learn that he's trying to convince everyone in town to sell up. Basically, some big industrial project is going to be happening in the area. Everyone's going to sell their houses for above market value, get out rich. But Chris shows up back into town, not interested. And as we're seeing this and getting introduced to all the other characters, we're starting to see little glimpses of the spiders getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so the first real glimpse we get of the big spider is probably my favourite scene in the film, where it's a weird couple, and the couple's doing the dad or whatever is the husband's doing building work, and she comes down in a dressing gown like, do you know what time this is? It's 12 o'clock, and he's saying, you know, like the domestic, like, well, you want me to finish it, don't you? And then seemingly the centre of their whole life is this little cat. He's doing the building work, there's holes everywhere, and you just see the massive spider crawling into the drywall, and you know what, curiosity killed the cat, of course, and the cat goes into the drywall, and then we see this fucking comical scene of them trying to coax it out with tuna with but it doesn't like the cat food, and he's saying, oh, we need to send this cat to fucking, oh, it's so funny. And then we just see the cat's face go into the wall, like hit into the wall, and it's just such a comical scene of
It's
the
so
spider.
fucking...
Yeah.
Like, you're literally getting Looney Tunes face imprints into the wall. And it's so cartoonish, but this film nails the cartoonish moments in it. Like, some moments are so ridiculous. Sometimes the spiders act exactly like a spider, but it happens to be giant. Other times, they are very anthropomorphized. There's one point later on where David Arquette is ziplining out to safety, and a spider follows him, ziplines down itself, and literally is going wee the whole way down.
Yeah.
Stupid, but for me, it never took me out of the movie. Like, they were few and far between enough. Well, not really few, but they were littered in just enough throughout the other slightly more grounded moments, so it didn't completely go into spoof territory.
Yeah, and from what I gathered, I think the toxic waste had an effect to make the giant spiders more intelligent than a normal spider, from what I understood. But what I like about this film, Declan, is the opening sequence just gives you a brief look at the spiders. Like, we only saw the legs going into the drywall, and, you know, we see Mayor Wade at his house, and he's got this whole crazy scheme of an ostrich farm where he cooks them in burgers to make money and all this, and we see the ostriches running away and the spiders are like hunting them down. And, you know, the build-up's really good. I really love it, and we finally see it when the fucking little kid, who's like a nerd but kind of not a nerd, because
He's a bit of a G as well. Like,
yeah, he's a bit of a G. Like, he's like the guy from Stuart Little, but good. Like,
Yeah,
do you know what
not
I
a
mean?
bitch.
He's like a little spider expert in himself, because Tom Noonan's gone. Do you know what I mean? So he becomes a local spider expert, and then he kind of like follows it into the mines, and then there we see the first real shot of the big spider, and he's running, but he manages to get like a giant spider leg somehow, and he brings it back, and he's like, listen, I'm telling you, there's giant spiders.
Well, that seems awful big to be a spider leg.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And then finally, Declan, we have the evidence that they're there. So people, our heroes, our core heroes are the fit sheriff, a young Scarlett Johansson, nerdy G, David Arquette, and black Alex Jones. We got our core group of heroes, and that's what I like. We follow them about from the rest of the film, so
It's brilliant as well. So I love it as well when you have the son of the dickhead mayor, Brett, and he is going out with Scarlett Johansson, who's the daughter of the sheriff. He's kind of a dick, but he's not a dick. You know, he's going around with his friends on motorbikes or dirt bikes.
yeah, dirt bike.
They're getting in trouble with the sheriff. It walks the wire well where Brett is kind of set up as a dick, but it clearly shows that his friends are complete dicks. I actually felt kind of bad for him when, you know, he's trying to put the moves on Scarlett Johansson. She's saying no. He's kind of, you know, he's not being a rapist, but he's not quite taking no. He's assuming it's like a no rather than a no. She tases him in the balls and makes him piss himself and then steals his car.
Yeah,
so you're a bit like, fucking hell.
To be fair, by the way, I think these horny lads get in trouble deliberately to make the sheriff stop so they can like eye her up because they're like, oh, do you think she wears pants or G-strings? Like, mate, like I would do stuff, maybe a traffic enforcement so she could like write me tickets and stuff and
Expose yourself.
yeah.
And then this sets up my favourite sequence in the whole film. I remember just seeing these clips of these dirt bikes getting chased by giant spiders in the desert in the movie trailer back when it came out at the time, and that was one of the things where I was just like in awe. My little brain was in awe of, you know, seeing these guys in full suits and helmets getting taken down by these spiders and killed. And it's brutal. Like, the great thing about this film is it introduces a lot of very minor characters in just enough time where there's a bit of personality to them. You don't see much of the barber and his friend, but you see just enough to remember him and like him. You see Brett and his friends talking about the sheriff and how hot she is, and it's just enough where you remember them all so they're not just cannon fodder when they die, because it's brutal, you know, the way they get taken out so easily. Like that first guy where he's laughing at the Brett because he's pissed
jumps
himself
down,
and the way it just lands on him and starts eating him, and all his friends get taken out so quick. It's fucking brutal. Brett manages to drive past just as all the spiders crash into the lorry carrying all the petrol.
Yes, you're right.
Explodes. Awesome explosion scene. A lot of the spiders somehow seem to survive it and keep chasing Brett. But now all the phone lines are down. So we're setting up all the natural tropes that you need for these sort of small town monster attack movies.
Their first thoughts are the phone lines down. Everyone seems to listen to Black Alex Jones. Maybe it's the only radio station in this shit town. I would personally listen to it anyway because I think it's cool. Like, I like it. You know, like if Tyron was on a radio station like putting out conspiracy theories, I would personally tune in. But everyone listens to him and their first idea is, let's go and broadcast it over the radio. So they head down to his shitty little trailer and broadcast it, and he's like, the Far Eaters are here doing a conspiracy. And then while they do that, a spider attacks the trailer.
Not just a spider, but the tarantula.
The big daddy, or the big, I think it's a female actually.
Well,
Big
I like it because it feels like a video game, and a video game would come out of this, but it feels like the movie laid the perfect blueprint for this sort of video game, because you have your various different main attackers. The guys that spin the web would probably be the standard villain. Then you'd have the jumpers, the ones that come out from the trapdoors. But then you have your two big bosses, the tarantula, which is kind of like the main first boss, and then later the giant black widow, which is kind of like the even scarier monster.
Yeah, like the spiders definitely have a hierarchy. It's pretty cool. I wonder if it's like that in real life. I guess the tarantula eats the smaller spiders, so it is. Then it becomes like a game of cat and mouse between the whole town and the spiders, because even though the town are hearing it, you are going to hear it, Declan, and be like, what the fuck are they on about, until it happens to you. And I love it because they're all in there going about their daily business, maybe in the only diner in the town, which they're all in, and then all of a sudden all the spiders start coming out of nowhere and it just becomes hectic. I love it. Like,
it's mayhem. I just love the long shots across the street as spiders are just everywhere, and you're seeing people run and duck for cover. There's that one bit where the guy's leaving out the back of the diner, and that's where all the trapdoor ones are coming out of manhole covers. he's going to go to his car, but then he can see one right next to him waiting for it, so he throws the ladder down to try and escape. You know, people are getting spun around in webs in the barber shop.
Bob?
People are just getting taken out everywhere, man, woman or child. There's something about seeing kids especially, but women as well, get taken out in horror movies. Something about it just hits different. Like, men are just the most standard cannon fodder. You don't blink when a man gets killed in a horror movie, but it was just, oh mate, just seeing the whole town getting taken out, it's just brilliant.
So you're pretty much fucked from every angle. And there's some real good comic bits in between this. I always remember when in the diner there's like a hanging moose, and then the spider thinks it can eat it, so it jumps on it and starts eating it. Just little touches like that.
Spits it out. And it's another thing where you realise how important sound is in giving, whether it's practical effects or CGI, like in most of this film, giving it its personality and character. Because there's subtle little sounds that just gives the different spiders a sense of personality. And there's even sort of something mischievous about the way they set them up. They provide a lot of the comedy, the physical comedy, a lot of the time throughout the film.
It's kind of like Gremlins, isn't it? Like, you know,
yeah, exactly.
It's like the spiders are self-aware. They do it on purpose, and like when it ate the like moose thing, the spider kind of turns to the camera and like looks and smiles, and it's just very genius.
It's also the other moment when Scarlett Johansson is being attacked in her bedroom. And when the mum kicks in with the shotgun, her and the spider turn sort of with a huh?
Yeah, they just both look at each other before he shoots it. Like,
Hey, Spidey!
Never crosses over into completely
spoof.
dumb and retarded. But speaking of CGI as well, you know, we often shit on CGI, and it's not the best CGI for 2002 on a $30 million budget. I think it's pretty goddamn good throughout. Things like fur and hair and feathers are very hard to do with CGI, but when you have, you know, the exoskeleton where it's a lot of smooth surfaces and not a lot of curves and quite robotic movements, there's something about insects that are easier to do in CGI, so that probably helped them a lot. But they also, I think they started pre-production 7 months early to start working, so they would have about a year and a half altogether to work on the CGI of the spiders. Very few practical effects. I think they maybe could have lent into the practical effects a bit more, but for the most part I thought it worked perfectly for this one.
Yeah, there was only one particular moment of the CGI looking very stupid that I picked up on. You know, when they get to the mall and the tarantula like comes through, like breaks through.
Yeah,
it's very bad.
Do you think?
It's very stuck on, like you can tell like straight away. But other than that, I thought it was more or less bang on.
Before they get into the mall though, one of my favourite little dumb comedy moments is when you have the goofy janitor maintenance guy who seems to work in the mall at night.
The glasses. Yeah,
and he's trying to get the different keys for the door.
That's the back gate. That's the ladies' lavatory. Come on! You're making me nervous! Don't make me nervous. Give me that!
They all get in. Typical dickhead mayor movement. He sneaks off without telling anyone and tries to escape into the mine shafts because for some reason the mall connects directly into the mine.
I didn't get that.
Ridiculous. It makes no sense.
Like, what I didn't understand is, they're trying to sell all their houses, assumingly because they know that there's gold in the mine. Why would he build a mall on it? Is he building a mall on top of the mine to hide the gold or something? Like, it didn't make any sense.
Possibly, yeah. I wasn't digging it too far, but, you know, maybe. I'm not sure if even he knew there was gold in it.
Yeah.
I don't think there was, you know, I don't think whatever big company was trying to buy up all their houses knew about gold in the mine. I think genuinely no one knew about it.
But we don't expect this kind of film to explain it into that detail.
No.
And we don't need it to.
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
Get ready. Get ready!
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the action sequences and the shooting sequences are the best mall fighting supernatural creatures since like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, it's definitely
I
up
honestly
there.
believe that, man.
I can't think of many other better ones. Like it's just so exciting. Like they're chainsaws and someone's got like
Hockey mask.
someone's got a
Jason.
little crossbow and then someone's just got like a spoon and like,
You got the old fucking geezer barber with like a garden fork, and I'm like,
who pussies out straight
yeah,
away.
like give that geezer a better weapon at least. But I suppose they just think he's cannon fodder, innit?
Like there's that great moment after the tarantula is ripped through, pulls back, and then there's a brief moment when nothing happens.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
just waiting for it and waiting for it. And just when you think nothing's going to happen, they start flooding in. And you forget as well, because, you know, they're spiders, they're not just coming along the floor, they're coming along
Yeah.
the walls, the ceiling, and just, even if they all had shotguns, they were fucked. Like, in an instant, they're getting overwhelmed.
They all get separated. Sheriff and Scarlett Johansson, and they all run away into like a side door. Chris is gone, and then the real hero of the piece is the partner sheriff. He leads them all away. He's got a gun. He's shooting them all like go, like
Deputy Pete,
Yeah,
mate, I love
Deputy
it.
Pete, and he gets away, and Black Alex Jones is like running about doing his thing, like running on roofs, and it's just
Well, he
mad.
goes up to the roof with Chris. All the phone lines are down, but they think it's funny as well. Back then, like cell phone, no one had a cell phone.
which makes it good.
It feels too recent though, doesn't it, for no one to have a cell phone? But it does make sense. But they go up to the roof to try and boost their signal, and they get up there. Firstly, it's a great moment because, you know, you kind of know they're going to live because it's David Arquette. He's too big of a character in it, but the spiders are crawling over the roof, and you're like, oh fuck, how's he going to get away? And the moment where he gets through, but they think it's a prank call, and he does a homage to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the ending where he's running through going, they're here, they're here.
Yeah.
Don't hang up on me, lady. Please, please! It's an invasion! They're here! They're here!
You're damn right! That's what I've been telling you!
And then he does the quote of the movie,
Get back! Eight-legged freak! Oh my god! This is so bad!
which was a completely improvised line on the spot.
Wow.
Originally, the film was going to be called Arach Attack, which ended up getting referenced quite a few times throughout the film. You know, the Paul Newman says it at the start, and then the little kid mimics it later on in the film. Eight-legged freaks was just a random improvised line. They kept the take in the film and pretty much immediately decided that was going to be the title. And it's one of those things where that is just the perfect title.
That's cool.
It's so much better than Arach Attack. And also, I think part of the reason supposedly was we just started the war in Iraq.
Ah, right. So
And
and
it
Arach
just-
Attack.
Yeah, not like they would be worried about
You
causing
probably get
offense.
Americans turning up being like, I wanted Arach Attack, not
Yeah.
not Arach.
So anyway, so they escape, they manage to survive, and we get down into the mines.
There's quite a comic scene where he's like, what's that smell? And then the janitor guy goes, wasn't me.
Yeah, because
Fuck.
there's loads of methane,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is setting up the fact that, you know, the moment you hear methane,
Gas,
you're like,
yeah.
there's going to be a big explosion at the end. Sweet.
And then little nerd guy, the spider expert, and he says earlier that anyone that's been taken might not be dead because they might be cocooned.
Referring to the Black Widow.
To the Black Widow, and then they're going deeper in the mines. Basically, Chris knows that if they follow the wires, it will lead to a generator which is outside. So good knowledge there from Chris. His dad is the mine owner, by the way. He would know that. And they come across all the cocoon bodies, and Chris is trying to locate his beloved auntie Gladys. So he's going for them all. And in between this, we see that the mayor and Brett have been running around themselves, but the mayor's been taken as well. So I was hoping that he'd be dead, but there we go.
I generally liked all the little character things as well. Like, I really liked his auntie.
Gladys.
Didn't get much time on screen, but very memorable. You know, her line at the end where, you know, after the big explosion, where she asked that guy for a cigarette.
You smoke.
No?
Good. Dangerous habit. Disgusting. Causes explosions. Should never started.
Yeah.
And I like the typical predictable romance between the two leads with the sheriff and him. You know, completely predictable, but I just love that as well. I love the fact that, you know, it's that classic EastEnders level writing trope of he's trying to tell her that he loves her throughout the whole film. They always get interrupted, and then she basically says it for him at the very end before he runs off.
She's like, I know you punched my husband because he cheated on me. I love you, and then come back to me.
And I love the fact that she says, your dad told me, because we hear about his dad being like the guy that had the mines, and he's, you know, is that one
Mythical
there's very little, there's virtually not even any crumbs to build any sort of semblance of what his relationship with his dad might have been like. But that one little thing just tells you, oh, his dad was a good guy.
He really did love his dad, because remember when Mayor Ponytail fucker Wade was talking shit about him, he strikes him. So like, he obviously is defending his dad's honour, so he was well liked within the town, and you can tell Mayor Wade is just a laughing stock with all his schemes and get rich stuff. So
great casting as well. He looked like such a slimy piece
with his
of shit.
ponytail,
Oh,
fucking
disgusting,
it's like that
man.
guy in Dumb Money.
Oh yeah,
You know, the guy in GameStop, you know, with
Yeah.
and he turns round and he's got like no hair but the little ponytail.
I
going.
thought you were going to say he's like the guy from Tiger King.
Oh yes, you're right. The little doc guy.
The guy that was banging like four chicks.
Yeah. But the moral of the story is anyone with no hair and a long ponytail is either a paedophile or a scumbag.
Yeah, never touched a ponytail.
Yeah.
Ponytail and glasses, definitely.
Oh, do you remember the top knot craze? Oh God, you
Yeah,
get
it's
on
not
the
really over, to be honest.
You get on the train and there'd be like rows of boys in suits with a top knot, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh come on, man. Like,
So what do
yeah.
you think of the final sequence where he's, everything blows up in the mine?
Well, so he manages to get the bike, doesn't he? And then get out with... He finds Gladys, and then Gladys wakes up and goes, oh, are you an angel? And it's like, oh, what are you talking about? All that light behind you. And then he turns and it's fucking gold, isn't it? Essentially, if they can get out of this, Declan, the town is saved. The money's there, you know.
Not to say, but everyone's going to be fucking
Everyone's
rich.
going to be filthy rich, so it's all a survival thing. He gets Gladys on the back of Brett's bike, and then we get a fucking great chase scene between all of the spiders and the little dirt bike. So they're going through. He puts something in a lamp to like basically be like, this will ignite it all. So you're like, here we go, and then he gets out. And they get to the generator outside. They're all outside above ground running to find the generator. Power switches on. And with the power, it ignites the matches. Bang! Kaboom! Science, bitch. Like,
Magnets, bitch.
Yeah, it generates magnets, bitch. Blows up. Now, this is the bit I've found stupid. You know when they're just coming out and the flames are behind them. The flames clearly engulf them, but somehow they come out unburnt. Did you?
It's good stunt work. You're like, oh, maybe they are going to die.
Did you notice it? Like
Yeah,
the
100%.
flames clearly went over them, and somehow they managed to come out unburnt.
Well, it's also that thing where explosions are only ever that slow in movies when they're chasing someone.
Oh yeah.
Like, explosions don't travel 30 miles an hour. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
it's just
get you.
ridiculous, but who cares?
It's like that Lonely Island song. Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Exactly.
Explosions are slow in films.
Yeah, so they escape, and then this is just the cherry on top of the cake. All the police show up. Not just the police, but like fire ambulances, and like they show up with all their
different
guns,
towns.
and they're looking at him like, I thought they didn't believe you when you called in. And it turns out the conspiracy guy who'd run away, the Black Alex Jones, he shows up with them all. And they're all like, oh, we never missed an episode. Like, we heard it all. We came down straight away.
Yeah.
They listen to my broadcast.
We never missed a show. We just drove down from Tucson. It sounded like you guys need some help.
Where are the aliens?
Are there any more people down in those mines?
No, my Aunt Gladys was the only one I found alive. I checked the other cocoons, but nobody made it.
Cocoons. Hey guys, we got cocoons. I told you we weren't arrived.
All the police are so excited where they're like, where are the aliens? And they're like, they're not aliens, they're giant spiders. And he says, oh, I think there were some survivors in the cocoons. And he's like, we got cocoons. Like, they're running all excited. You know, kisses the sheriff, credits roll, bang, Itsy Bitsy Spider remix kicks in. What a fucking movie.
Well, before the credits roll, we cut back to Black Alex Jones finishing a radio broadcast. The town covered it up, but there's another story yet to come, dear listeners. And he smiles, and he's got like, his mouth is full of gold teeth. So I'm like, yes, they got the gold. What an ending, man!
Just perfect.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Like, so I guess we're here to the end. Do I recommend Eight-Legged Freaks? Absolutely, I fucking recommend it. Great movie for the times, one of the best examples of a horror comedy. You know, as you said, the writing's perfect, the acting and the casting. We didn't see this director again apart from the flops, and we didn't see a lot of this cast again. I would have very much liked to see Sexy Sheriff in other stuff. I will have to play Command and Conquer again, but we didn't see it. But all in all, the finished product was a perfect, everything just gelled together perfectly, and this really is the highest praise I can give it. Is it has comedy elements, but it never goes too far to the spoof area. You know, like those stupid spoof films, like Another Teen Movie or some of the latest scary movies. It never does anything like that. It keeps it in the perfect middle, and this really is one of my favourite, if not my favourite, horror comedy.
Yeah, without a doubt. If you are really craving something else by this director that isn't complete trash, just before this, he made a made-for-TV movie called The Nest, or They Nest, one of the two. Basically about life-size insects that dig into the human body and eat you from the inside out, that end up plaguing a town. It's played a lot more straight and serious than Eight-Legged Freaks. I remember seeing it when I was very young, very freaked out, very scary. It was a made-for-TV movie, so production value-wise, probably pretty hokey nowadays. But I remember it being really good, and I gave a little check on IMDb before. A lot of the reviews were giving it pretty high ratings. So if you just want to get another look at what this director made before he ended up sort of falling away into obscurity. But yeah, totally agree. Fucking love this film. It is one of my favourite films from my childhood. Not only holds up, but is actually better than I remembered or realised at the time. And it's just fucking fun. It's hilarious, the way a horror comedy should be, but it never tiptoes into parody. It is scary and freaky and disturbing, but also entertaining with it, you know, as the spiders are attacking. As much as moments of it might freak you out, even if you're not an arachnophobe, everything about this film is fun, everything about it is entertaining. So it's a really tight script, there's no fat on it, the cast all does a great job, everyone's charismatic, even the spiders are charismatic, so it's an easy recommendation for Eight-Legged Freaks.
Hey,